our product. I'm Mason. This is our team. We've got Leo, Vivek, and me. I'm the project manager. Leo's the back end guy, and Vivek is the front end guy. Our product is Intelligent Eats. Leo, slide. So, Vivek, take it away.
Yeah, so the problem we found is when you try to go to a grocery store and you try to find out, is this item healthy or not? You usually like look on the back to try to find more information. And when you actually look at the ingredient list, you try to find something that's harmful. But most of the time you look at the ingredient list and you don't really know exactly what the ingredients are. So the only way to really find out is then to take out your phone and to start researching every single ingredient and trying to find out which one is the harmful one. And that can take a lot of time. So yeah, so checking each and every ingredient takes way too much time. And this causes the consumers to either waste too much time and at the end, probably not know if their food is healthy.
So what we created is a food analysis web app to determine how healthy a food is. And really the whole goal of it is to save time for consumers. So you can just pull out your phone, scan, and then find out if your food is healthy or not. And our project, as you may know from earlier presentations, it's called Intelligent Eats, determines how healthy a food is with a score of -10 being the least healthy and 10 to the healthiest. It uses a web scraper to scrape Google for articles on the ingredients and an AI model to classify each of the articles if it says that the ingredient is healthy, if it says that the ingredient is unhealthy, or if we find the article to be irrelevant. That is it for that slide.
Okay, so demo time. So I'll screen share. Okay, so we have a landing page with our app. And so we have a part where it talks about how it works because at the end it gives a health score and that can be kind of arbitrary. So we want users to understand how to interpret that. So the first thing they would do is scan or enter their UPC code. The UPC code is a thing pasted on the back of a food item that usually you would scan it like when you're leaving the grocery store. So once they enter that, they wait for our model to run. And basically, our model will use the UPC code and find the ingredients present in the item. And then we can scan over thousands of links and use semantic machine learning to determine how healthy each ingredient is. Finally, we assign a score to each ingredient. And at the end, you get your results and you find a breakdown of all your individual health scores associated with the ingredients in your product. You also find the health score assigned to the food item. And the larger the health score is, the more healthy the item. Therefore, you can interpret your health score to judge how healthy that product is. So if we get started, we can go to the results page. And Leo sent me some UPC codes that we can test. So I forgot what this one was, but should be, oh, yeah, okay. So this item is a chocolate cream covered biscuit sticks. And you can see all of the individual items. You can see, I don't know what lecithin is, and you don't have to too, because it tells you what the health score would be for that ingredient. And you can kind of see the breakdown of all of these ingredients and see what is healthy and what is not healthy. And at the end, it gives you a total final score, which is 0.45. So this isn't really that healthy because healthy ingredients would be more around like 5 or 6. So it helps you quickly see how healthy this item is at a glance. We also have more UPC codes that we can test. So this one is chewy assorted fruit flavored candies.
Or
and
Mike
you
and I.
can see, yeah, and you can see, yeah, there's a bunch of pretty interesting things. Fumaric acid, no idea what that is. Yeah, and so you can see the breakdown of this too. There should be another one. Yeah, and this is Nature Valley crunchy granola bars. And you can see the breakdown of this too. And these are items that like you can commonly find at home. So yeah, and so that's our demo.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Way to go, guys. Thank you for demoing that.
Hey, wait a minute. We're not done.
Oh, sorry.
We're not
Yeah,
done.
that was just a demo.
We're not done yet. Hey, wait.
Sorry.
And talk about business plan, right? How we're gonna make $200,000 each. Is
Yep.
that next? Okay.
So for challenges, there were actually a ton of challenges. Challenges not even coding based. There were things like distributing tasks and just relearning how to learn like fast and on your feet, and communication like way more than you'd think is necessary. And then when you get into the actual like meat of it, you got to create data modeling, which is sometimes a bit of a nightmare. And then you have to read all this data in that Leo produced, and I have to put it in the right location where it's supposed to go to avoid catastrophic stuff. Leo?
Yeah, so as Mason mentioned at the beginning of our presentation, I mostly worked on backend and data stuff. And so obviously the first challenge is getting data, but I think more specifically for our product, the more difficult challenge is finding all the ingredients. Because if you look on the back of just about any food, beyond very basic items, there's a lot of ingredients, and there's a lot of ingredients out there that are used in food. And so we needed to gather a very comprehensive list of very common ingredients. And so there's this database on, I think it's called data.world, I think is the website. And it contained, and it had a database which contained, I think, the 10,000 most common foods. And conveniently, it also had the most common ingredients inside those foods. And so we were able to parse through, remove the duplicates, try my best to remove all the weird stuff that's in there, because there were some really weird things that I don't even remember. It was that weird. And then so that left us with around 12,000 common ingredients. And then we had to find a way to gather all the data. So when you look up Google, when you look up something on Google, there's a link to a web page, and then there's a tiny blurb that Google's deems the most important from that web page. And so we were able to use an API made by Google to gather those blurbs, and then we're able to feed it through an AI model to produce all the scores to produce a healthy or unhealthy score for each blurb. And then we're able to average all of those to produce a score for our ingredients. And then another challenge we had was connecting backend and front end. That was a giant pain because Django likes getting very upset when you change the names of your databases. That took more time than I spent actively doing a lot of things. So that was fun. And then dealing with cores and helping Vivek out with the front end. There was a ton of stuff helping him out there, but yeah.
Guys, listen, like the stuff that you just talked about, it's almost like the first time you're doing something, like you encounter all these like strange like errors. But next time you go, then smooth. The third time you go, smoother. Yeah.
Yeah, Vivek, you want to talk about some challenges you faced?
Yes, I definitely think a big challenge we faced, and I think like some other people obviously definitely faced it, is like a CORS issue where Google will just block your request because like the backend doesn't recognize your domain name. So that took like a day or two of just me looking through a lot of Stack Overflow posts before I found something that worked. I think some other stuff was also parsing through the JSON, because I'd be trying to parse through JSON when there would be nothing there. So there'd be like a compile error. That was also another issue that I had to face.
All right. Are we?
Mason, you're muted.
Oh, Leo, were you taking this slide or is this me?
Yeah, I'll take this. So, I'm sure you might have noticed our product isn't exactly as polished as it could be. So we have a few things that we would like to do moving forward. One of the things is to add barcode scanning, because why would you bother spending the time enter 12 very tiny numbers into this random website you found on Google when you could just scan a barcode? It's a lot faster and more convenient, and we are all creatures of convenience here. And then goals 2 and 3 have to do with producing more accurate scores. And so I don't think Mike and Ike should have even a moderately healthy score, but that's what we got. So we are going to have to create a algorithm which can weigh the score of each ingredient based on how much of that ingredient is in the food. So for example, if there's less than 1% of some really, really healthy ingredient, then it should obviously contribute less to the score. And so we also need to refine the AI model to produce more accurate scores. And then, as Michael mentioned, we have monetization, money, and so our idea was basically if you know you scan a food item and it has a really bad health score, obviously, the people who use this are probably trying to be health conscious. And so the idea is that we can recommend similar foods that are more healthy and then have an Amazon affiliate link to that food. And so if they buy that food, we get a tiny bit of the cut.
That's really smart.
All right, so I'll go back to that slide. All right, so I would say the goals, like I would do it a little bit different, because okay, goal
Mike,
number
let
one.
him finish their presentation.
Wait, hold on. I want to make them. I want to make sure they they know what's gonna Okay, so there's a lesson here, right? Okay, there's a lesson here. So number one is actually finish the MVP. The MVP is actually the barcode scanning. The second thing we need to do is actually getting people to use it. Forget about monetization or refining model and things like that. Getting people to use it is the utmost important thing, right? Because then you can get feedback. Then you're probably gonna know where you should go next, right? Because you don't even know whether like the more accurate score, is that important to people or not, right? So finish the MVP, get people to use, and then everything else will follow through that. Yeah, and I think this is gonna apply to everything that we do. Like if you think your stuff is very important, it's really beyond, for example, just making a product. You have to think about how to get people to use it. Okay, so that's the important lesson I want everyone to remember. Yeah, and again, if you think, for example, just making a bunch of apps and learning this technology, great, code a day, yes, celebrate, yeah, you're gonna become a great employee. You ain't gonna, for example, really making changes of how people think, right? And if you want to realize your own idea, you need to know not just about technology. It's about going out and also talking to people and figure out how people are going to use it, right? That's an integral, important lesson, right? So it's not just technology. It's not just coding. School is very good at training people to become employees, but it's not our goal for AI Camp, isn't it? Right. So make sure you learn that. Yeah. And, and sales and marketing, you think that's just like a boring things or, tricky stuff. Think again, man. Think again. Yeah. Anyhow, so that's my, 40-year-old, talking to a 14-year-old me, I would be like that. Yeah.
Great advice.
Overall, okay, I had to make sure I wasn't muted again. Overall, the internship, I think it was really great for me and the rest of the team. We learned a lot about coding. We learned a lot about ourselves, and we learned a lot about working with other people on a team. So I think it was a good experience. Vivek?
Yeah, it was definitely fun. I definitely learned a lot for having to build an MVP. I had to definitely learn more content, and I definitely saw a lot of people on Discord. So I got to talk to a lot of fun people and learn new information that way. So
yeah, how would I describe this internship? crazy, thrilling, I think, in a way, and only it's thrilling in the way that you're you gotta go do something fast, right? Gets your heart beating, the stress, it's oddly thrilling. It's very stressful. I will say that.
And something that that reminded me of Michael, our first meeting, he said something that resonated with me a bit. He said this internship is going to feel like you're getting hit by a bus, and it kind of did with all the stuff you had to learn overnight.
Yes,
Awesome.
thanks for listening
Yeah.
to the presentation.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys for giving us that awesome presentation. All right, now a round of applause.